Welcome to the program. Good morning, Thailand. Tuesday, because of course we had yesterday off. It was a public holiday and we're not live anymore. Well, we're almost live. And so is Jay. Morning.
Good morning, Tim.
Done well in the shirt department?
Thank you. Yeah, I had to represent.
I've sort of dressed down a little bit. Now, very, very busy show. Starting off with our COVID numbers. 14,150 cases and 118 COVID-related deaths today. Only good news is that's down on the past 3 days, but usually after these sort of long weekends, the first day is usually a down number. 245 cases from Thai prisons. Of interest, though, the only silver lining on this very dark cloud is that the road toll numbers are down by almost 50%.
Wow.
Because people aren't travelling.
True, yes.
So even though we've had a long weekend and people have been travelling, they haven't been travelling as much. So that is a small benefit from this whole horrible situation. Sandbox, have you been out around Phuket over the weekend?
Yeah, I visited a friend and we went to lunch.
Your exciting weekend.
Exciting weekend, yes.
Yeah.
Well, even though we're in Phuket and we have the Sandbox open, but as a local, I still try to stay as safe as possible. And all the people that I know, most of the times, we try to stay indoors as much as possible because even though there's not as high of a risk like in places like Bangkok, but we still try to be as safe as we can.
Of course. Now, there's been a little bit of Sandbox news over the weekend. The Phuket governor has denied that people are cutting their holidays short in Phuket, complaining that everything's closed, which is not quite true. Now, we also did a straw poll over the weekend. I approached 3 different types of accommodation, and I said to them, what is your cancellation rate? Are you having people cancel? I said, well, actually, yes. But depending on who we spoke to, the cancellations were between 45 and 65% cancellations from August the 1st. So it looks like there has been a bit of not a backlash, but a lack of support. And people also, I think, not staying in Phuket for the full 14 days because they're thinking, well, where are we going to go?
Yeah.
Because the flights are basically cancelled, despite the Nok Air flight and a Bangkok Air flight into Samui. So I think Samui has probably been the only real beneficiary at this stage. And what I'm calling the Sandbox Paradox is that even though we've got international travellers coming in now, some 10,000 people have arrived, we understand about 50% of those are tourists. What we don't have, because of the travel restrictions and the difficulty of getting onto the island by the roads, is any domestic tourism.
Yes.
So we've had this situation where the international tourism has gone up and we're very grateful to receive them, but the local tourism has really dropped. Yeah. So maybe the net result isn't very much at all. But this is, as we've said all the way, it's a new situation. It's at least a start. And we're all hoping that the Sandbox will continue, sort of.
Well, I'm sure they didn't expect 60% cancellations, but it does make sense because as COVID is getting worse, I'm sure the local people who wanted to travel to Phuket cancelled because of the heavy restrictions in Bangkok. And now with the little added restrictions, I think maybe some people just wanted to wait and see what happens. And as things have gotten worse, they would rather not travel to Phuket. And once they travel to Phuket, maybe the plans that they had to move any further from Phuket were also dashed. So it wouldn't make sense to come to Phuket for those types of people. So it does make sense that the number is so high.
Anyway, we've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to come back with a discussion about a Thai gold medalist and some rather interesting, typecasting of countries in the opening ceremony at the Tokyo Olympics. That's coming up next. We're going to have a quick break, and we've got the local headlines.
Some Pattaya suspects arrested for live streaming for allegedly breaking curfew. The Phuket Vice Governor says Sandbox tourists aren't scared of the COVID situation. The Sinovac and AstraZeneca vaccine are highly effective, according to some Thai research. A COVID train transferring COVID patients was cancelled as SRT cites lack of passengers. Thailand's COVID-19 national vaccination program is hit by a supply shortage. It is uncertain about the delivery schedule.
And welcome back to Good Morning Thailand, our slightly new revised format, which is going to be very content heavy. And we're going to head to the Olympics. So I've got some rather amusing stuff from the opening ceremony. Did you watch the opening ceremony?
I did not know.
Apparently nobody else did either. But I did catch up with some of the highlights. But some good news out of all that is that there was a Thai gold medal.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, we have Panipak Wongpattanakit edged Spanish teenager Adriana Cerezo Iglesias to win Thailand's first gold medal in women's taekwondo in the 49 kg category on Saturday. Panipak won the match in the last 9 seconds with a last gasp kick to the body, and netizens called what happened in the 9 seconds a miracle, which not only gave Thailand the first gold medal at Tokyo Olympics, but also the first ever gold medal in Taekwondo Association of Thailand. Panipak, who's now 23, won bronze initially in the Rio de Janeiro Olympics 5 years ago and almost quit, but finally came back to Tokyo Olympics 2020 to claim the gold medal as the world's #1 ranked Taekwondo fighter for her weight division.
Okay. Well, now there is another bit of sort of interesting local news. She's already returned to Thailand.
Yes.
And guess how she came back?
Phuket Sandbox.
She came in through the Sandbox because she didn't want to do the quarantine in Bangkok. So we might see if we can track her down. What's her name?
Panipak Wongpattanakit, but her nickname is Tennis. Yeah.
That's a really interesting nickname.
Well, she comes from a family of athletes. So I believe her dad, her brother, they've all given sports nicknames, and hers happens to be tennis.
What's the father called? 100-meter hurdle or something?
No. It's
the mother is javelin.
No. I'm not sure. Maybe probably another sport. I'm not quite sure. But I just remember.
Is the daughter called synchronized swimming?
Possibly. That would be cool if they were twins.
Yes,
one is synchronized. The other one's swimming.
You need to have more than one.
Yeah, but
there should be a solo synchronized swimming event. I think I'd do very well at that.
A solo synchronized swimming.
Yeah.
You're
Solo
just
synchronized
synchronizing
swimming
with yourself.
Sure.
And your shirts.
Now, there was the opening ceremony. So, Jason, if you'd like to get these slides ready. Now, this is from, don't bring them up yet because I think it's quite amusing. There's a South Korean broadcaster that, for whatever reason, they decided to add their own little bits to help describe to the South Korean citizens a bit about the countries.
Okay.
So what happens when the Italian team walks out? This comes up. So what is the icon of Italy? The pizza.
The pizza. Well, makes sense, but...
Except the pizza, just out of interest, wasn't actually invented in Italy. It was invented in New York.
Really?
Yes.
Was it by an Italian man?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes. So it's sort of become an Indian food. But wait,
Italian.
There's more. Let's head to Norway. What did they have?
Norwegian salmon.
Norwegian salmon.
Did they really?
They did.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well, there you go. You did pretty well. So you're typecasting them beautifully. Anyway, now we head to a country that's had some problems in the past, and this South Korean broadcasters thought they'd focus on that. Here is what they had for Haiti.
Ooh.
A bit of upheaval there. So, the people in South Korea must have been sitting there scratching their heads. This is as the athletes are walking in, sort of the grand march. But next we've got Ukraine. And what is Ukraine famous for?
Oh, God, don't say it.
The Chernobyl explosion. So they decided, here is Ukraine. And but El Salvador, they got off a little bit lightly. They thought El Salvador, they'd show something a bit newsworthy and recent, which of course El Salvador has just legalized Bitcoin as a method of legal tender. So they thought that would be the way that you'd encapsulate El Salvador. We don't have a picture of this, but for the Marshall Islands, when they came in, it was probably 3 people. They described it as the nuclear test site for the United States.
Oh my.
And I suppose this is very South Korean, but what did they actually bring up on screen as the icon for South Korea when they came in?
K-pop? I don't know.
Keep going. K-pop.
Korean barbecue?
No, they had BTS.
Oh, did they really?
The band, the 7-piece band, which is the biggest thing in the pop world at the moment, they had them. So, that was a bit of fun from the opening of the Olympics.
Someone's going to lose their job.
Yeah, they've got a lot of flack from that. And
slight misjudgment.
they have apologised, by the way. Let's come back home to the Thai baht. And interestingly, and we'll run some video over this that you don't have on the machine, but we'll do it later. But before the pandemic, the Thai baht was the strongest performing currency in Asia. Now it's the worst hit currency in the region. The Thai economy has been shrinking over the past year, hitting lows which some compared to the contraction during the 1997 Asian financial crisis. The Thai baht dropped more than 10% against the US dollar year to date. Also against the US dollar, the Japanese yen has dropped almost 7% and the Malaysian ringgit declined by 5%. So a little bit of change for the Thai baht, which has been holding up amazingly strongly for the past 12 months, but now it looks like it's reckoning against some of the other currencies.
Yeah, and hopefully it doesn't plummet any lower because things just seem to be getting worse. Infections have been rising for the last 5 days, so,
But with this rising US dollar or the dropping of the Thai baht, it will put more pressure on that rise and rise and rise of the US stock market. And what happens after a rise?
A draw.
No, a monkey invasion. Let's go to the monkeys. You were pretty surprised when you saw this footage.
Yes, I was horrified.
Would you like to run that footage, Jason? Hundreds of monkeys swarmed the streets in the Lopburi area. Lopburi, where is it?
So Lopburi is towards the north of Bangkok. It's generally known for its beautiful sunflower fields.
Okay, well...
yes, and trying to get as far away as I could. I mean, I just thought it was something out of Planet of the Apes. I mean, the amount of monkeys was slightly scary to me. Maybe I'm not comfortable with that many monkeys.
You're not really a monkey fan.
I suppose.
But that many monkeys, if you're out there by yourself as a pedestrian, that would be pretty scary, seeing all that happening around you.
Exactly. I was unaware of the Lopburi being known for monkeys. So if I was just traveling there and I had no clue about it, I'd think it's an attack from the Planet of the Apes or something and just run for my life. Because a lot of the people seemed quite calm. So I'm guessing the people from around there are aware of this situation, or perhaps it's also happened before, but this time it was actually captured on camera.
Yeah, well, pretty wild scenes there up in Lopburi, about 150 kilometres north of Bangkok. All right, time now for another quick break as we go to our regional headlines.
Bitcoin's price surges after speculation that Amazon may be entering the cryptocurrency sector. Without the crowd's roar, Tokyo Olympians search for spirit and support. Rancor marks the start of talks between US-China envoys. China says, "Don't demonize us." Bhutan vaccinates most of its population against COVID after donations. Hailed a success. Indonesia relaxes COVID-19 restrictions despite deaths remaining near record highs. COVID pandemic is hitting conflict-ridden and impoverished countries worse this year than last, including Southeast Asia.
You're back on Good Morning Thailand. Thank you for joining us today as we whip around the country and the region, seeing what's happening. Now time to go to your feedback. This is some of the feedback on our Thaiger Talk, also on our YouTube channel from the weekend. I should just add that we blocked comments yesterday on when we uploaded the interview we did with Helen Petusis Harris, who is an associate professor at the University of Auckland. Some of the comments people were making about her and about the tiger, because we uploaded the video, were nothing short of horrendous. And there were even some threats in there, some quite severe threats that we've taken seriously. So we did block any further comments on that particular story. Now, no matter what we post here at the Thaiger, we posted in good faith. We thought what she had to say was worth saying. We've had people who have been anti-vaxxers and people who don't believe in vaccination on the Thaiger in the past, and we were just balancing it with with an associate professor who was supporting vaccinations. So anyway, we are today going to go through some of your comments. Not necessarily that story, but we'll start with you, Jay.
So I took a comment from Thailand News Today last Friday on the subject of Thailand offering elite visas, which are 10-year visas for foreigners wanting to come and invest in Thailand.
These are not the elite visas. They're proposing a 10-year visa for foreigners who are going to hopefully throw money at the country. The elite visas are the current system, which are for 5 and 10 years, but they do cost quite a lot of money.
Yes, so I have a comment here from Nong Kai Subzi who says, special visas for the rich. Sorry, Thailand, it's over for you for the short term to medium term. You blew it. And contrary to Nong Kai's comment, Jim B responds, the filthy rich don't care about visa. They need a clean, fun and entertaining destination with privacy. Now, the amount of money involved is quite a lot. So Jim B does have a point there.
Okay.
However, I agree with Nong Kai that it could have been done better.
All right, another comment?
Another comment from our Good Morning Thailand Live from our last episode, last Friday. On the topic of lockdowns and COVID restrictions in Thailand, Mark Morgan says, Tim and Jay, I understand your skepticism, but lockdown on top of lockdowns will only enhance the problem. To which Napster responded, for how long can they continue the daily implementation of new restrictions? And Graham Foster further implied, lockdowns do not work. The definition of insanity is to keep repeating the same thing over and over again while each time expecting a different result.
Well, let me just suggest that if we do continue seeing rising cases around the world, which we are seeing at the moment, especially in the United States, sadly, there will be lockdowns. It's really the only way to try and stem the flow. We hope the vaccinations keep kicking in, because we do know scientifically that is the only way long-term to try and reach some sort of herd immunity, unless you just let the disease run rampant, which of course would be absolutely insane thing to do. Yeah. One more?
That's it from me.
Okay, well, in regards to a story on the Thaiger over the weekend, hotels hope for an increase in foreign tourists to offset slump in domestic demand, which we spoke about earlier. White Snake said, darlings, nice and pleasant, which bit of no foreigners want to go to Thailand, don't you understand? Tourism in your country has ceased. Over. That's your lot. Stop dreaming and just get on with getting your citizens safe. Stupid or what? Pompey's said in regards to the same story, there is not a hope in hell of there being any improvement for the tourism industry this year and well into next year. Delta is rampant in the US and new infections are going through the roof, similarly in Europe and other countries, so tourists from these places will be few and far between. Now, a little funny story from the Pattaya region over the weekend. Pattaya suspects arrested for live streaming and breaking curfew. And Gummy said, I'll probably have to explain this later, come on, that's a bit unfair. Just because they were caught whilst riding their Honda Scoopy, they all can't afford a Honda Wave with bicycle wheels and a loud exhaust. Now, as a younger person in Thailand, you would get that it's a bit of a thing to get an older Honda Wave and put really thin wheels on it.
Yes.
And a really loud exhaust. Must be very uncomfortable to ride.
Well, we have a whole word for those kind of people. It's called dekwan, which there's certain types of, younger boys who are into that whole thing.
Well, what does that translate as?
Dekwan.
Yes. Dickhead? Or...
No. Dek means like a younger person. I'm not exactly sure what exactly it would be called in English. I've never really referred to it in English, but a Dekwen is a person with a younger boy on a very loud bike, riding around, just enjoying himself while harassing other people with the loud bike. So
that was quite... We'll just do one of the response to the monkey story.
Sure.
The headline at thethaiger.com was another monkey war in Lopburi. Hundreds fight in the street. Thai 3 said, like soy dogs, they need thinning out by the army. Make good rifle practice. We have them near us and sometimes they round a few dozen up and dump them in another location. Well, yeah, I think ultimately they need to be sterilised. I think the rifle practice probably isn't. It's not going to be a good optic.
That's a bit extreme. We wouldn't harm animals here in Thailand, especially some of those monkeys belong to the temple. Now I understand maybe
they belong to the temple.
No, they live at the temple, but the monks and everyone, they take care of the monkeys there. They feed them, and they're not, seen as harassing.
It looks like they're feeding them very, very well indeed.
I guess, yes.
They're burning off the energy.
Perhaps find a better habitat for them that suits them.
Well, before we go today, thank you, by the way, for your comments. We'll be addressing your comments every single day on the program. Let's go. Last week, we asked people to send in some pictures of the Thaiger. These are Thaiger bars,
yes,
or restaurants, or using the name Thaiger in other parts of the world. You ready there, Jason? Okay, so here's the first one, and thank you very much to Mech Chow Chow in Sydney, who sent in this one for Fat Thaiger.
This one's my favourite. I mean, can it get any better than the Fat Thaiger?
I'd go to the Fat Thaiger. Sounds like a good restaurant. Another one from Australia. This one was sent in by Travis Williams. Thank you, Travis. And it's in Abbotsford, Victoria, my old home state, and it's called Thaiger Rabbit.
That has a nice ring to it. Thaiger Rabbit.
Yeah, they couldn't quite decide. We're going to Thaiger Rabbit.
Sounds like a mini animated series on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, interesting one. So now we're heading over to the UK. This one is from Chris Day. And I'm sorry, Chris, you've cheated here because indeed it's called Thaiger Bar. But unfortunately, the word tiger has been spelt the usual way, Tiger. So, Chris, I'm sorry, that's a fail. But we do appreciate you sending that in. That's from Derby in the UK. And this one is an older shot, and somebody found it on Google. And it looks like a sort of an older 2 or 3 star sort of lodgings. And it's the Thaiger Restaurant and Accommodation. And this is on the east coast of the UK, quite a long way north of London. And it's right on the seaside. So this is one looks like it's been a bit ravaged by the sea. Right, so thank you very much. If you do have any other tigers, send them through and we'll certainly put them up. Just before we go, we're going to check the weather around the country. Then we're going to come back and we're going to say goodbye. Here's the weather. Air quality is good in Bangkok today. The weather up to 31 degrees today. Tomorrow, some clouds. Same on Thursday, top temperature of 34. Heading to Phuket, and we've got good air quality. Around about 50 is the air reading. That's fairly high for the island. Weather today up to 29 on Wednesday, 28 on Thursday. Some cloud and a few showers. Nakhon Ratchasima in the Thailand northeast. 29 is the air quality reading. The weather for the next few days, cloudy and 32. In Chiang Mai, we've got reasonably good quality air up there, which is nice to see. Air quality reading of 40 today. We've got sunshine and some cloud and rain. Temperatures between 29 and 31. In Cha Am and Hua Hin, we've got excellent air quality today. The temperatures are around 32 degrees and we've got cloudy skies. And in Banglamung, which is the home of Pattaya, we've got excellent air quality and the weather around 30 degrees for the next few days. It could be a little bit of sunshine and a little bit of rain. Well, that's the weather from around Thailand. As we get to the end of our slightly revised format, obviously we're going to try and just tweak the program and have plenty of content and stuff of interest over the past 24 hours each morning. We hope to get it up around about 10 a.m. Thai time every day. So we keep on getting messages about free Stephanie. I'm sorry, I'm waving my pen around again. Stephanie's out.
Stephanie's free.
She's roaming around Phuket and having a fine time,
Yes.
probably on her motorbike.
She's been free for a while now, a couple of
Yeah.
days at least.
So get over it. Stephanie's out.
Stephanie's free, guys. You did it.
There are some others who are still in quarantine who have ended up there for, unforeseen circumstances. We've actually tried to approach them to contact us, but they've neglected to do so at this stage. Right, with that, thank you very much to Jay.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you to Jason for pressing the buttons, and thank you to you for watching. And we look forward to coming back tomorrow with another Good Morning Thailand.